and talk about a concept which is not that much discussed. And I would ask your patience. Alhamdulillah, I appreciate that you come here and wait till I get on the member at 10, although it was a little bit late tonight. But anyway, and you spend the 45 minutes to an hour with me. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and give you barakat for that. Tonight I would like to talk about this concept. The title that I have for it is that, to be with Rasulullah. This concept of to be with Rasul, ma'iyyat. This is something that we need to think about, and I would like to just share with you some of the thoughts that I have based on the writing of ulama, and relate that to the personalities in our history, especially when it comes to the Shuhada of Karbala. Salawat. When we talk about being with Rasulullah, we're not talking about on a physical level. There is a time gap. Rasulullah lived 1400 years ago. We are here. So what do we mean by that? And I would like to explain that by a very famous hadith, which is specially, described by the ulama who are in the field of spirituality, Sayr al-Suluk and Ilm Akhlaq. And there is a hadith from the Prophet where he says, تَخَلَّقُوا بِأَخْلَاقِ اللَّهِ. تَخَلَّقُوا from akhlaq. Acquire the akhlaq and the characteristic of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now it's a really bold statement, You acquire the akhlaq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is easy to say that. But basically, if you look at the 99 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not all of them you can, follow. At a very, very, lower level we are talking about. But when you say Allah is Kareem, He is generous, you can also be generous. When we say Allah is Ghaffar, He's willing to forgive. Actually, our ulama of the path of spirituality, they say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually looks for an opportunity or an excuse to forgive you. You provide that excuse. Because when we talk about maghfirah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so He's Ghaffar. And we also, when we deal with our own people, especially those who are close to us, sometimes there are tensions, there are problems. And we should have this, big heart in order to forgive them also. When we talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we say He is Sattarul Uyub. He conceals our defects and our weaknesses. If you look at the words in Dua Arafah by Imam Syed, very powerful dua. Although we just recite once in a year, but it's something you should, look at the translation. Where Imam Syed is teaching us to say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, "Oh Allah, you are the one who have put a satr, a cover over my weaknesses and sins. If others know about me, even my parents will shun me." Allah is more kinder to us than our parents. And so He's not a sattar for you. We are told that if we see somebody, from the mu'mineen has a weakness and he does not do something openly, you don't go and expose that. He is sattar for you, and we also on our level have to acquire the akhlaq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Salawat. But it's not easy when we say, let us try to, تخلقوا بأخلاق الله. Try to follow the akhlaq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One simple formula would be to go to the Quran and see what are the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I like. I like this category of people. I like these, actions and deeds. If you can identify that, and then you start following it, this is where you acquire the akhlaq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just to give it a very quick survey of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, wherever He has used the word yuhibbu, inna Allah yuhibbu, Allah loves so and so, or such groups. I just put them together, some of them. Inna Allah yuhibbu al-muhsineen. Allah loves those who are muhsineen, muhsin, who do ihsan. Now this has been mentioned 5 times in the Quran. It has been used for ihsan in the meaning of charity. It is used as a muhsin in somebody who does a amal hasan, good deed. It is also used for somebody who is able to contain his anger. Be forbearing. If he can do kazmul ghayz, Allah says, Inna Allah yuhibbul muhsineen. And even those who forgive the mistakes of others. And so even the concept of muhsin is explained in different ayat, in different ways. Another statement, Inna Allah yuhibbul tawwabin wa yuhibbul mutatahhirin. Allah loves those who do tawbah and those who do tahara, who purify themselves. Both tawbah and tahara are actually purification. Tawbah is purification of the heart from the sins, and tahara is the purification of the body from najasa. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, it's basically, He says, if you do this, I love those who do tawbah and who do tahara. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُتَّقِينَ. Allah loves those who are muttaqeen, who have this ability to exercise taqwa. Specifically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala relates this to the issue of wafaya ahd. That if you make a commitment with someone, actually in one ayat He mentioned this after your agreement with the enemy. In the battlefield. If you have signed an agreement with the enemy, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, big fight, do not betray. And this is where He says, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُتَّقِينَ. وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الصَّابِرِينَ. Allah loves those who exercise patience when they are in challenging situations. Another example, فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُتَوَكِّلِينَ. Put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah loves those who do tawakkul. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُقْسِطِينَ. Allah loves those who are just and fair. And this refers not only to the judges, there are different ayats where those words end with it. One is for judgment, one is for when you make peace with others, and one is when you make peace with kuffar. Even there Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, be just and fair even with non-Muslims. Salawat. So I just put together, where Allah says, Inna Allah yuhibbu. Where Allah loves, certain categories. But then you can also look at the ayat where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna Allah ma'a. Allah is with such and such group. Inna Allah ma'a sabirin. Inna Allah ma'al muttaqeen. If you put all these ayat together, actually totally we have about 21 ayat, you see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions 8 qualities that He loves to see within us. And that will be a way of trying to following His akhlaq. And these are 8 qualities. Number 1 is sadaqah, giving charity. Number 2, doing good deeds in general. Number 3, repenting and doing tawbah. Number 4, tahara, keeping ourselves pure. Number 5, exercising taqwa and righteousness. Number 6, sabr and patience. Number 7, to have tawakkul on Allah, to put our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And number 8 is the issue of justice and fairness with others, even non-Muslims. Salawat. Let me make it a little bit more simpler. If we want to acquire the akhlaq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's easier to say that than to do it. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows our challenges, our weaknesses. And so He basically created certain individuals who are human beings like us. But He gave them those abilities that at the end they become the madhar of the virtues of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Mazhar sifat ilahi. And these are the individuals whom we call Muhammadan, Ahl-e-Muhammad salawatullah alayhi. When you look at their akhlaq, when you look at the character of Rasulullah, when you look at the character of the A'immah of Ahl-e-Bait, and then try to follow them, because that is our name, Shia. Shia means somebody who follows. Then we actually would be acquiring the akhlaq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that will make the issues very easy for us. And therefore He says, they are not God, but they act on my behalf. For example, in the very first Battle of Badr, in Surah number 8 and 17, the first time, this is the first battle, and Rasulullah symbolically picked up some pebbles and threw towards the army of Mushrikeen of Makkah. And what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? ما رميت إذ رميت ولكن الله رمى. O Muhammad, when you threw the pebbles towards them, it was not you who were doing it. It was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Subhanallah.
So the action of Rasulullah becomes the actions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we follow Rasul, in a way, we are following the akhlaq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Salawat. There is a hadith Qudsi. The difference between normal hadith and hadith Qudsi is that hadith is where Rasulullah or the Imam says. Hadith Qudsi means the Prophet says, Allah. Allah has said this, but it is not part of the Quran. And that's why it's known as Hadith Qudsi. In one of the Hadith Qudsi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا يزال عبدي يتقرب إلي بالنوافل حتى أحبه. When a servant of mine does nawafil, extra, does not confine himself only to the wajibat. When he does the extra in all different things, then Allah says, I start to love him. And when I love him, I become his ears and his eyes and his hand. Basically now he's seeing through me, he's hearing through me, and he is actually acting through me. You know, when we talk about Amir al-Mu'mineen, when we say he is Wajhullah, Allah doesn't have a face. But this is actually the face which never goes down in front of an idol. And therefore even Sunnis have this term where they say, Karram Allahu Wajhu. Allah has honored the face of Ali. Or when we talk about Amir al-Mu'mineen and we say Yadullah, he is not physically the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah doesn't have a body. But just as Rasulullah, when he threw the pebbles, Allah says, I did it. Lakin Allah Rama, Allah has done it. Similarly, when Amir al-Mu'mineen does something, because he is doing entirely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is not Ali anymore. That hand is the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll give you an example. I just recited there on Saturday in another Majlis, and 2 or 3 brothers were there with apologies for them, but you know, this would be a reminder if they heard it before. All of us know the story of Khandaq. I don't have to describe the details. Amr ibn Abdul Wud jumped from over that ditch, came over. He was considered to be a very famous, courageous soldier of the Arab world at that time. One person equal to 100 soldiers. And the Muslims were afraid. 3 times Rasulullah said, who will go and respond to his challenge? Nobody stood up but Ali. And there's a lot to say about it, but I'll just, we don't have that much time. When Amir al-Mu'mineen went there and they fought one another, and he was able to pull Amr ibn Abd down from his horse, put him on the ground. He was there on his chest, about to kill him. When this most, courageous, warrior of the Arab world spat on the blessed face of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Amir al-Mu'mineen for a moment became angry. That was the human dimension of Ali. He would be hungry, thirsty. If somebody hits him, he will be hurt. So when that happens, it was very natural that Ali became angry for a moment. He stood up, took few steps, I don't know how many seconds, or a minute or so. And when that happened, the Sahaba sitting there they are saying to Rasulullah, what is Ali doing? This is the only opportunity to kill this fellow. And this is what Rasulullah said, we're going to ask him when he comes back. And then Ali goes back and completes his job. He killed Amr ibn Abd. Why did he do that? Because when he became angry with the insult done by Amr ibn Abd, Ali did not want his anger to be part of the motivation of killing that person. And that is where he goes back a few steps, calms himself. That was Jihad Akbar. After overcoming Jihad Akbar, then he does the Jihad Asghar of killing Amr ibn Abd. This is where we realize that that hand is now not the hand of Ali. Ali's hand becomes Yadullah in that sense. Salawat. But even when we come to Muhammad and Ahl-e-Muhammad, it's not easy to follow them. And so let me even try to make this concept even easier, simpler. There is an ayat in Surah Fath, Surah number 48, ayat 29, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Muhammadan Rasulullah walladhina ma'ahu ashidda'u ala al-kuffar wa ruhama'u baynahum. Request है थोड़ा और आगे बढ़ें There is an ayat where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Muhammadan Rasulullah walladhina ma'ahu. Rasul, Muhammad Rasulullah, and those who are with him. Their akhlaq is that ashidda'u ala al-kuffar wa ruhama'u baynahum. When they face the enemy, they are very, solid. But when they mingle among themselves, they are very kind and merciful. Unlike the Taliban and the ISIS. They would run away from others. But when it comes to Muslims, they are the most brutal. And this is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so He's describing those who were with the Prophet as وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ. Now, is this ayat only for the days of Rasulullah? The word ma'ahu, those who are with him. This ayat is not frozen in time and space. This is a universal ayat. It can even be applied now. If we follow the teachings of Rasulullah, believe in the deen that he brought for us, then we are also part of this word ma'ahu. Even though we are centuries apart, but we can be with Rasulullah because of the aqidah and because of the akhlaq and the teachings of Rasulullah and the Ahl-e-Bait. Salawat. 2-3 examples before I come to the Messiah. You must have heard the name of Uwais Qarani, a Muslim from Yemen. He heard about Islam, he heard about Rasulullah, accepted Islam, and he had this desire to go to Medina and see Rasulullah face to face. If we were at that time, even we would have that, desire to go and do the ziyarat of Rasul, face to face. But he had an old mother, and he was the only person taking care of the mother. Whenever he would ask her permission, I want to go to Medina, she would say no. If you go, what will happen to me? After, asking again and again, one day the mother said, okay, I allow you, but there is one condition. You go to Medina only for one day. You stay in Medina only one day and come back. Uwais al-Qarni accepted that condition. He travels all the way from Yemen, goes to Medina. Remember, Yemen is in southern part of the Arabian Peninsula, and Medina is in the northern part. Travels all the way there. When he reaches the house of Rasulullah, one of the wives said that, Rasulullah is out of town today. Just put yourself in his place. He would say, my mother is very far away, maybe I'll spend one more day. I traveled, so much. मेहनत की है, पैसा लगाया, time लगाया. Rasulullah's ziyarat is very essential. But he was true to his promise to his mother. These are the issues which count. Very much disappointed, didn't see Rasulullah, comes back to Yemen. And therefore you will see the list of the ashab of Rasulullah, Uwais al-Qarni is not ever mentioned as a sahaba. Because according to the criteria and the standard, sahabi is somebody who has seen Rasulullah even once. But what happened there? Rasulullah comes back next day. As soon as he enters the courtyard of his house, he says that I can smell the fragrance of Uwais al-Qarni. All those who were close to him among the Sahaba, then didn't have that honor and privilege. That Rasulullah would say that I can feel the fragrance, khushbu of Uwais al-Qarni. Was he here? And then he says, anybody who sees him, convey my salam to Uwais al-Qarni. Salawat. Technically, Uwais al-Qarni is not with Rasulullah as a Sahabi. But in real sense, he is with Rasulullah. He is much closer in his ma'iyyat with Rasulullah than many, many thousands of Sahaba who were there. And this is what I'm saying, if that could happen with Uwais al-Qarni, we can also do it. But remember his example. It was the respect and the honor that he had for his mother, which took him to that level that Rasulullah says, I can, smell the fragrance of Uwais al-Qarni. Salawat. Let me put it in a different way again. Do you want to be a Sahabi of Rasulullah, or you want to be a brother of Rasulullah? What would you choose? A brother of Rasul or a Sahabi of Rasul?
Brother.
The Ashab one day, they were talking to Rasulullah and they said, Nahnu ikhwanuka ya Rasulullah. They asked the question, Ya Rasulullah, are we your brothers? And Rasulullah said, La, antum ashabi. You are my companions. Who are the brothers? وَإِخْوَانِ الَّذِينَ يَأْتُونَ بَعْدِي. My brothers are those who will come later on. آمَنُوا بِي وَلَمْ يَرَوْنِي. My brothers are those who will come after me, and they will believe in me although they will not see me. You come 14 centuries after Rasulullah and you believe in him. Rasul says, you are my brother. Not only that, then Rasulullah says, وَلِلْعَامِلْ مِنْهُمْ أَجْرَ خَمْسِينَ مِنْكُمْ. A practicing one among them who will come later on and who believes in me although he has not seen me, his good deed would be worth good deeds of 50 of you ashab. So one of them wanted to correct Rasulullah. Bal minhum, you mean that his good deed will be equal to good deeds of 50 of his own people? Rasulullah said 3 times, no, bal minkum. The comparison is with their good deed with 50 of you. And this is where he says, you know, لأنكم تجدون على الخير أعوانا. Because you have many supporting issues here. You see me in person. You hear me directly. Wahy is coming in your presence. Whereas they will be hearing this and you know they will be told about it although they have not seen it. Therefore the worth of their good deeds is more than yours. And this is where Rasulullah says, you become my brothers. Salawat.
Allah.